Welcome to the Blue Oasis podcast. This is the podcast for finding peace and prosperity in your life, learning the history of hobbies, as well as making a little side hustle out of your hobbies. If you want to find balance in your life and find peace, this is your show. Get ready. You're listening to the Blue Oasis podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. Computer. Okay, and welcome back to the Blue Oasis podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. With me today is Gary Livacari. He is a baseball blogger and writer. And Gary, how are you?
Real good, thanks, Adam. Thank you for having me.
All right, perfect. So talk about yourself. How did you become a baseball blogger?
That's a good question. I've always been interested in baseball history, and I started out with Baseball Fever website. I used to do the identification of ball players and old pictures, and then in 2014, I started a Facebook page called Old Time Baseball Photos with another guy. And we did that. I was doing that for about a year and a half. And I'm sort of an entrepreneur. So I was looking for a way to make money with my interests. Rather, on the Facebook page, we had a real good response to it, but I was just spending a lot of time putting articles together. And then I'd go on to the next one, and I'd go on to the next one. And there's got to be a way to make a little money with this. I sort of, my creative juices started flowing. So I decided to start a website of my own. And I did that in 2016, I believe it is. So I've been doing that for 5 years. And now I write essays, baseball essays, and I put a photo gallery together with them. And it's gone over real well. And I decided then early on to monetize it to see if I could make a little money with it. And it's paid off. I mean, I'm not getting rich with it, but for somebody who didn't know what he was doing, I just sort of learned on the fly, and it's worked out pretty good. So I'm making a little money with it, and I really enjoy it. So I'm getting paid for what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, and that is my goal on this podcast, is to help people find what they love to do and at least create that side hustle.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm sort of in a niche market. It's baseball history enthusiasts. So you've got sort of a limited market, I guess is about the best way to say it. It's not like a huge market. So I think I'm doing pretty good considering the size of the niche market that I'm appealing to. And I may have maxed out of it. I'm not sure. I'm always looking for ways to increase the traffic and the revenue from it. But right now, I'm just happy with that. It certainly pays for itself, and I make a little spending money with it too. So, for the time being, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and when you were creating your blog, you used WordPress, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Was there any difficulty to it? Or did you just pick up right away?
I'm pretty adaptive. I can learn on the fly, sort of. When I started doing it, I really did not know a thing about web design whatsoever. And all I did was I Googled how to start your own web page, something like that. And I found this one do-it-yourself site. And I just followed the 6 or 7 steps. And one of them was downloading the WordPress software. And I mean, literally within an hour, I had the thing up and running. There really isn't that much to it. Anybody can do it. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. The only expense was the domain name. I think it turned out to be like $5 a month, and I'm still paying $5 a month on that. So there's no real expense to it. But the key to it is getting traffic. So once I had it up and running, I had my Facebook page. So I was able to feed traffic from my Facebook page onto my website. Using the photo galleries as an attraction, and that worked out real well. So immediately I was getting a traffic to the website. I didn't have to start from scratch on that aspect of it. And And then after, it took me a little while then to figure out, I had no idea how to monetize, but I just sort of, you know, tried different things out and searched different things out, and sooner, you know, and I did get it monetized. It started, you know, initially I was hardly getting anything, maybe $10 every month or something, or every other month. And then that's gradually has grown. And I can explain to you what I'm doing as far as the monetization, if you'd like to know that. But that's grown pretty well. And I have to say, I'm doing pretty good with, for somebody who didn't know what he was doing when he started.
Oh, yes, please. Go into the monetization process.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a couple, I got it written down here, but okay. The number one is using Google AdSense. That is probably the biggest draw for people who have blogs or websites and they're trying to monetize it. And it's very simple. You have to, once you get it going and you have some initial traffic, you can apply to Google AdSense, and then they analyze your site. There are certain criteria that you have to meet to be accepted. It's not much. You just have to have a certain amount of traffic, and then they also send in what's called spiders to go through your site, looking for the content, what kind of content you have. Well, anyway, if you get approved, which you usually do after a couple of days, then you are now involved with Google AdSense. And then you can, there's a couple, a year or two after I started with them, they did something that's called auto ads, where I don't have to worry about where I'm placing the ads or what kind of ads I'm putting in. It's all done automatically. They analyze my site and they decide where the ads should go and what kind of ads. And then they realize this is a baseball oriented website. So they put in ads that fit the theme of the website. Now, also the other nice thing about it is everybody who goes to the website sees different ads. I don't know how they do it, but like if you were to go to the website, you would they know what your interests are somehow or another. And the ads that appear there would be generated for your interests. When I go there, I see ads that are generated towards my interest, and another person would get ads generated for his interest. So that's all done automatically. And then it's called a pay-per-click system. In other words, these little ads appear all over the place. And every time somebody clicks on one, you get a small percentage, you get paid for that click. It varies on your traffic and all kinds of other parameters that they have, but you're getting a little piece of the action every time somebody clicks on one of your little ads. So I would say overall, that has been that's if for somebody starting out trying to monetize their website or their blog, Google AdSense is the way to go. Then the second one, which I would recommend to people, is the Amazon Associate Affiliate Program. And that's real good too, because Amazon, of course, is so huge. And it's the same thing. You apply to be an affiliate or an associate, I think they call it. And once you're approved, they do the same thing. They analyze your site, you get approval, and then you can basically market any product that Amazon has on your site. And you get a little piece of the action every time somebody buys something from one of your ads. And I've got about 3 or 4 different Amazon ads running on the site right now. And they've all proved to be pretty good. You're not going to get rich again from it, at least when you have a small site, but you're making money on it. And certainly enough to pay your overhead and a little extra spending money. So between the two of them, I'm making a little bit of money here. So it's definitely worth my while. I'm not just putting all this effort into my site without getting compensated. I'm definitely getting compensated now for what I'm doing. And it makes a difference when you're just doing it and just because you like doing it. But when you're actually getting compensated, you have an incentive to do it, even if it's not a real lot of money, but it makes it worthwhile, and it appeals to me just to get paid for what I'm doing there.
Of course. And I think the one thing that's going to change in the future is the way Generation Z and Generation Alpha is going to be working. They will be working similar to what we're doing here and blogging and being content creators. So I'm grateful we have the technology now, and it's important that we get this information out there, so you know, the next generations do see that you can create a source of income for yourself and just work doing what you love. And
yeah, sure. And if you have if your interest is something that was a much larger audience than I have, you can do the steps that I've done and appeal to a much larger base, and you can turn it to be a profitable enterprise. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now, another source is paid advertising. Like you have an ad on my site right now. Again, if you have a bigger site, you can look for some real good paid advertising, and that can be another source of income.
Yeah, and finding those bigger blogs, finding a place to advertise. I mean, you get big enough, and yes, people will be knocking on your door,
yeah,
sending you
sure.
money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why the key to it, of course, is increasing your traffic. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm always trying to increase traffic, because I'm getting paid every time somebody clicks on my one little ad. So the more people that are going to the site, obviously, then the more, the chances of somebody clicking on the little ads go up. So if you can, I'm getting maybe 500 to 1,000 hits a day, viewers. But then if you have if you're in the $10,000 or $50,000, traffic range, you can see how you can multiply that, pretty quickly, and that can turn into a pretty good revenue source.
Of course. Speaking of revenue sources, I will talk about the ads as well. All right, everyone. So I am promoting my audiobook, Growing the Game, from audible.com. It's available now. Just check it out. Just search Growing the Game, Adam Rothstein, and you should see it pop up as the first result. Also on Amazon.com is my latest novel, Dribbling Freedom. Tim Burke is the star NCAA player of Pittsburgh University, and along the way there is a new football stadium being built, and there is this issue of eminent domain, and he finds himself right in the middle of it, interning for a law firm. So if you are interested in John Grisham style novels, please pick that up. And then we've got AMCU. Geez, I always mispronounce it. My buddy Will Mason is doing digital handwritten notes, and so just log on to www.am8u.com as well. Also, if you are loving this podcast, consider donating to the show. I put everything goes to hosting fees and equipment, and it all goes back into this show. And rate this show on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big breath there. I was
going to add one thing. I've written 3 baseball books. They're all self-published, and I advertise them I mentioned them on my site. But having written a book, you become like an author. It gives you a lot more credibility to your site and just to your reputation. I know you've done that very well. Yeah. And I would recommend that to your listeners, that if you can do that, and it's very simple to self-publish. I did all 3 of them myself, and it's gone over real well. They've given me, like I said, a lot more credibility, and it adds credibility to my website too.
Yeah, of course, and it can be very fun to do, especially stories, but staying organized can get tricky at times, of course. And my last one was on the 1919 Black Sox scandal, and I had written about, I don't know how many dozen, maybe more articles on this over time. So I just put them all together and put them into a book formation, and
it's gone over real well.
It's perfect. Yeah, there is that. So we talked about creating a source of income. We went over all that. I think yeah. So are you familiar with the MLW? Just a little bit of a side note as well.
I'm sorry, what?
The MLW?
No.
Major League Wiffle Ball.
Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah. These kids took it to the backyard and just started playing baseball. I mean, wiffle ball with themselves and a camera. So I mean, there are definitely ways to even do that. I mean, you can vlog as well. You can create your YouTube channel as well.
Sure.
And just talk about everything in everyday life with baseball. And there is a market out there for anything, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I have thought about a YouTube channel. That might be my next step or something. Or in a podcast like you're doing. You know, I've thought about doing that. I think I've got like 1,200 essays that I've written on my site. I thought maybe I could just sort of a weekly dose of baseball history or something, you know, or just read one of my essays and have one of the photo galleries going by at the same time. So that might, again, it's got my creative juices going. So I might take a step up fairly soon and do something like that. There's so many different things you can do. You got to get the website, I think, as a base, get that going, and then you can branch out from there.
Yeah, my mentor says to go to the mainstream platforms, find a base, and get them onto media that you control. Because, you know, one day a site like MySpace could go down, and then it's like, oh my God, where are my followers? Where are my friends and everything? And then you're SOL, to put it lightly. And so so what I'm doing now is writing on Medium and just posting a little sign up link to my email list and say, hey, just go here and just check out everything else if you're interested, and also on Substack as well. So two great platforms to just go and find a base. Have you ever done anything with medium.com or Substack?
No, I haven't.
I mean, I would recommend using it. Just put your articles there, and then just bring everyone back to your site for the exclusives as well.
Yeah,
so,
that would.
Yeah,
I'll look into that. Sounds like a real good idea. I'm always looking for, like I said, ways to increase traffic. I think that is the key to the monetization and the revenue flow is, you know, is your traffic. So any ways that you can increase traffic is always going to be good. I was posting also on Twitter, and then putting a link to the photo gallery for each article, and that was working pretty good too. I was getting a lot of traffic from that, and then over time now too, I'm also getting a lot of just general generic search traffic. You know, people search a particular baseball topic, and my either one of my articles or my website shows up on the search, and I bet I'm getting 200 search hits every day almost, or sometimes even more than that. So that's been pretty good too. Once you get established, then you know, things like that start happening.
Yeah, and just building your base up, and then you get as big as Gary V or someone, and like you're on TikTok, you're on YouTube Shorts, and you've built yourself up where you have your own media source, and everyone knows your name. It's you get a reputation. I'm getting a nice reputation in baseball history circles with the website, the Facebook page.
my Facebook page has 80,000, over 80,000 followers, believe it or not. I mean, we've, my partner there and I, we've been working on that for 7 years. And like, for instance, I put an article on Willie Mays' 90th birthday about 6 weeks ago. It got over 10,000 likes on Facebook. So like I said, that's turned into a real good traffic flow coming from my Facebook page. So those two in combination, that combination has worked pretty good for me. I had an immediate revenue or traffic flow to the website once I started it.
Oh, Willie Mays is 90 years old. I did not realize that at all. It's crazy.
Believe it or not, I got over 10,000 people read that article and actually clicked like on the Facebook page. I mean, it was phenomenal. We've never had one that high. We've gone over 1,000 many times, but we actually got over 10,000 on that Willie Mays piece.
It's perfect. Oh, and finding those little, intricate pieces definitely always will help you out in the long run.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I noticed just posting about how to upload a video how to upload a photo to Instagram from your laptop. I mean, people were struggling to figure that out. It's like, why can I only do this on my phone? It's like helping people out with those, little inconveniences will help them. And I've seen it certainly with Descript as well. Now, a little bit of a side note, with something, going back to tools, I recommend using Descript. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Okay. It is a transcription software. It transcribes everything in regards to your voice, your video. You can remove the ums and ahs out of it, and it certainly works wonders.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, that sounds a good thing to have. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that is definitely something you can use. When it comes to pricing for hosting fees, what should one person budget for if they do want to just like get the groundwork in and then start running?
You mean like for a paid advertisement or something?
Yeah.
I guess you just have to judge that on your potential traffic flow or visibility. I haven't done a lot of the paid advertising, so I'm sort of at the ground level on that right now. But you and I reached an agreement, and we thought it was mutually beneficial to us. So, I guess you just have to make your own personal judgment on that. The bigger your audience is, the more you can expect to get in return for like a paid advertisement. But I guess that's just something you have to individually judge, reach an agreement between the two parties.
Of course. I'm really trying to think here. So do you find, do you have a morning routine? Like, do you start blogging, or do you just write down in a notebook before you put up a new article?
That's a good question. I don't have a routine. I'm retired now. I retired last fall, so I have a lot more time available to me. But I try to put 3 pieces out a week. Now, a lot of times I just put one out this morning. I didn't even know what I was going to do until I put it out. So I don't have a set routine, but I do. The other thing I was going to say is what's very important is fresh content. If you want to keep your traffic flow, you got to be putting stuff out. So in my case, there's plenty of things to write about. In baseball history, there's so many different angles I can go on to. So I never have too much trouble coming up with an idea. And so therefore I do have a lot of fresh content, but I don't have a set routine other than the fact that I try to put usually 3 pieces out a week. And I'm usually, like now I put one out today, I'll be trying to think what'll be the next thing I'll put out. That'll probably be maybe today's Saturday, probably Monday I'll put out another one. I'm not even sure what. There's some sites I go to, like This Day in Baseball History, and they'll have a listing of things that happen. And I usually find 1 or 2 things in there that I find of interest that I can expand upon and put together a nice little essay. And the other thing I was going to mention too is my website is very visual. I realize that a lot of people just like to look at pictures, and especially of old pictures of baseball. But there's other people that like to learn too. So I've tried to appeal to both aspects of that. People who just like to look at pictures, they can go to my website and you'll just see pictures all over the place, especially on the home page. I use the Pinterest, I think it's pronounced, theme, which puts pictures all over the place. And then I have the photo gallery. So I'm appealing to those type of people, and but then my essays are also educational. So I tried to combine those 2 elements of the audience, and that has worked pretty well. It's something to consider, no matter what you're doing or what your blog topic is, your theme. Yeah, if you can combine, those 2 elements, I think it's going to pay off for you.
Of course. Yeah, I'm doing a challenge called the Publish 365 Challenge. I will put out a piece of content, whether that's a video, article, podcast episode. I'll even put something on SoundCloud if for just getting myself out there. And I do think it's important to always have just something ready to go, because even on your off days, some person might pick something up as well.
Yeah. I agree with that. You always got to be thinking. You always got to have your website or your blog in mind, and how you can. What's next? What am I going to be doing next? Will this be who is this going to appeal to? It's something I enjoy, so it's not really a chore for me. And like I said, now I'm getting paid a little bit to do it, so I enjoy it, and it's become like my retirement job, I guess, but one way to say it. And it's given me, like I guess, I have a little bit of reputation building in the circles that I'm in here, so it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to blogging, building community, I mean, do you invite your subscribers to exclusive events, even if they're virtual, like even a Zoom hangout? Do you have you considered doing that or anything of this sort?
I haven't done anything like that, but I do try to interact with my readers a lot. In my I have some subscribers, but I'm always mentioning to my readers that I always welcome guest submissions, and I've had a lot of guys over time take me up on that. And I'm a pretty good editor, so I always tell them, I'll be doing a little editing, but don't worry about it. But I do interact a lot with my readers, and I have a couple regular subscribers, and they send me stuff, and I've edited, put it on. But I do a lot of interaction, and also in my writing. There's another good point. I try to write in a very casual, almost conversational style, like first person type stuff. I found that works much better than the third person, where you're just talking about it, some episode or something. But if I can talk in the first person conversationally, colloquially, using just everyday language, you're much more likely that it's going to be read all the way to the end. And the other thing is, I always tell my contributors, do not make them too long. Each article, I try to keep it 1,000 words or less even. And I always tell them the shorter it is, much more likely it is that it'll be read to the end. And that's what you want. You want people to read it. So that's one theme or one rule I try to abide by. You can, in 1,000 words, you can say a lot for just a post. These don't have to be research papers or theses or anything like that. It's just something that's educational that some people will enjoy reading. So I think that would apply to any type of blog. It's just make it interesting and don't overdo it. Keep it simple and talk conversationally, just like I try to write like I'm just talking conversationally to the person, and that's, I think, has gone over real well too.
And it's with that conversation that you build communities and those relationships that can take you further.
Yeah.
There was someone in my network of people, and she told me about you, and now here we are. I've paid for ad space on your website, and yes. And yes, to my listeners, I'll disclose that now. Yeah, I paid for ad space. I am trying to make a business out of it, and there's
absolutely,
and there's nothing to be ashamed of when doing that. I mean,
absolutely not.
I mean,
again, there's nothing to be ashamed of that whatsoever. I admire you for even, you approached me. I thought it was great the way you did it, and we, like I said, we had a mutually beneficial agreement, and that's what it's all about,
Yeah, and
nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
And you should be trying to make as much money as you can. So so if there is that emergency, or you just want to have that nice vacation or whatever, you'll have the money to do it, and you can retire a wealthy life as well.
You can, again, my enterprise there is relatively small, but you could take the same principles that I've used and expand them to a much larger topic. And it could turn into be a very profitable endeavor. Nothing, using more ideas than what I have. I'm self-taught basically, and I'm still stumbling around a little bit. But if you're creative and you're capable of thinking outside the box, which I think I am, there's no limit to where you can go.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing something you enjoy and you love doing, then it's not a chore for you. It's not a job. It's something you enjoy doing.
Yeah. And if you have a modern day cell phone like this and a laptop that I'm recording on now, I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't even have to be new. You can still just find those connections and build yourself a nice website, nice blog site, and just get people looking at it, get people interested.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, look at my startup cost was, like I said, almost zero. It's intellectual capital that you're spending more than anything else. And it's turned into a little bit of, like I said, a retirement job for me. It gives me a reason to get up every day and contemplate what I'm going to do next. So there's a lot of benefits to it other than just money. And so it's been very well worthwhile for me. It's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
It's something I have an interest in too.
And with the rates of depression on the rise, and as well, I mean, this has been going on. I think at least when we got to the 2010s, like early 2010 year, like you do see this increase in depression, and you had more student loan debt really did begin to accrue as well. But even if you're graduating with debt, and I am against debt, even if you do graduate with debt, there was, some people would have a purpose behind it, like you'd go and be an engineer. Now, now you kind of don't have to go to college at all, and I don't.
Yeah.
And we're going to be taking a different approach to education in the future, and I don't. And when I do have kids, I'm going to be like settle them down and just say, I really do not want to spend 100, 200K on your education. We're going to find an alternative.
Absolutely. You're on the right track. Believe me. I have grandchildren now, and I told that I just saw my son just recently. He's got 5 kids, and I told him, I said, you're crazy. You're going to spend all that money in college. There's so many other ways you can make a living. That you're going to waste, hundreds of thousands of dollars and years when there's plenty of other ways to make a living. That I think college is basically outmoded. I mean, I went to college, and very little do I use in my daily routine that I learned from college. I'm basically self-taught or self-learned or whatever, educated on every topic that I'm versed in. So I think I've always thought college is way overrated. Unless you, like you said, you want to be an engineer or something like that, something very specific. But if you don't have a real goal in mind, I think college is way overrated.
And I know these, and I'm friends with people who've dropped out or didn't complete it in 4 years. One guy took 6 years to complete it, and that was and he was in debt. And I'm grateful I paid off my debt, but you can pay next to nothing to start a brand, and 300 and I paid $300 for my mentor's course of just a generalization of starting an online business and a digital product of a digital building out your course. And I've used that more than any college course could ever give me. It's not designed for entrepreneurs. It's not designed for people with new ideas. And I do hope we address this and we go back to apprenticeships and even more online learning as well.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, I think, again, I'll just say one more time, I think college is way overrated. The system is outmoded.
Of course. Wow, it's so colleges talked about I think so just general question, where do you see the MLB's future? I guess I'll just ask that.
Of what?
Baseball. Do you think the sport itself will grow in the future?
I would say no. I think it may have peaked. I mean, I hear all the time people. I had a friend of mine call me yesterday. He says, "I'm done with it. I'm not watching it anymore." They've changed the game so much. It's become very politically correct in so many different ways. This thing with the Cleveland changing their name yesterday. And plus the changes they've made to the game, I don't think they're good. And a lot of them are changing just the basic structure of the game. It's not the same game that we grew up with. And plus, it's not as fast moving as some of the other sports. I think the younger generation is going to get turned off from it, basically. And I think they may have peaked, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And when I was 12 years old, I decided it's not for me, and I played hockey, and then I became a college hockey player, and had a magazine article written about me, and ever since then I'm grateful I made the choice to become a hockey player.
That sounds like
baseball is a hard sport. It's not necessarily contact related. It's not like football or anything like that, but it's just hard to hit a baseball even at 60 miles an hour. I mean
oh sure,
it's not easy. And
no, it's not easy by any means.
And I see more kids are going to be attracted to even playing soccer and of course basketball just in the future. But I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Yeah, just the trend that baseball is on is basically not good. And we want.
That's why I'll be honest with you too. I enjoy the old days of baseball. I'm much more of an old time baseball fan than I barely could tell you who the players are of today's game. I really have very little interest anymore. But I love the old days of baseball. To me, there's a fascination to it, and I've always felt that way. So unfortunately, I'm sort of drifting away from today's game.
Me too. And I'm watching stuff like the MLW, which is just this organic 20 somethings who just started their own league and just have 275,000 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, I would rather watch that than Major League Baseball because they are just so well structured as well, and they have their own merchandise store. I mean, it's crazy. The best era of baseball that I liked was like the early 90s before the strike, and you had Joe Carter, and Tony Gwynn was on his way to the 400 batting average, but that just not quite because of the strike sort of thing.
I go anything past 1970 is modern to me. So I only look at things from 1970 backwards. That's my era. So I'm real big on the 1930s, the 1940s, the 20s. You go back. I can go back. The dead ball. I serve an authority in the dead ball era. I much prefer reading about those guys in those days. Like I said, 1970 is sort of my cutoff to the modern era. So my knowledge diminishes rapidly from 1970 on.
I think just more of a funner segment, funner if that's a word. Just more of a fun segment. Who is your favorite team?
Well, I'm a Cubs fan. I've been a Cubs fan all my life.
I grew up Baltimore Orioles. It was Rafael Palmeiro, who was at one point my favorite player, but it turned out he was a steroid user, and that's like, oh, why'd you do this? And it's like,
well, he was on the Cubs before that too. We had him here in Chicago. Yeah, he's a good ball player, but yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, steroids really diminished him, and the whole steroid era is a real downer. It was part of the reason why I lost interest in the current game.
I think it's that the MLB, there's all these scandals and just everyone is just has to, they're changing so much up. It's like, what are you doing with the runner on second? And no one wants to change. For the most part, if it's working, most people are averse to the risk of changing things, and it can cost you like what the TV ratings are now, and it's not. And for the most part, like I will just stay back and just let it roll the way it is, like keep the system in place and maybe adjust for inflation if I was the commissioner. But it's those things that definitely turn off TV viewing customers and Hulu or whatever streaming service people are using now.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Yeah. But anyway, that's why I enjoyed the old days of baseball. Like I said, I've been a Cubs fan since 1955 or something, and I much prefer reading about the old days. That's when they played. There wasn't the big bucks. These guys all had jobs in the off season. There's a mystique to it that I enjoy. That's why I've gotten involved with baseball history, and that's why I've been able to get the website that I have, and it's become a big part of my life.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Jimmy O'Brien, John Boy Media?
No.
Oh, he's got a Talking Baseball podcast, just putting that out there. And closing thoughts. For starting a blog, for even starting an organization for sports like the MLW, any last words you want to give?
Well, I would just say, go ahead and give it a go. There's so many different do-it-yourself type web design things, and even if you're not real knowledgeable about web design or just the intricacies of it all, you can do it. I mean, it's not that hard. I was able to do it knowing nothing, and I built it to a nice little thing. And so if you've got an interest, go ahead and do it, because it'll pay off for you. You'll enjoy it. You'll never be bored, and you'll be doing something that you love. And if you can get paid a little bit to do it, it makes it even more enjoyable.
Of course. And even if you are just bumbling around, there's stuff
Yeah.
like Skillshare.com and Code Academy ready to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah, I guess that'll do it. So if you liked what you heard here, definitely rate this podcast, write a little review. This is available on all major podcast platforms. Can't speak today. And if you liked what you heard, also consider donating $1, $5, $500. Anything helps, and it goes right to the oh my God, to the hosting fees and the technical equipment. So
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Anything you want to plug in before we close out here?
Well, they could visit my website that we've been talking about. That would be nice. Baseball History Comes Alive, all one word, www.baseballhistorycomesalive.com. And I think they'll enjoy it. If you like baseball history, I think it's I market it as the internet's #1 site for baseball articles and photos, essays and photos. So, and I have I have 75 categories. You can go through the categories, find things that you're interested in, and I think you enjoy it.
Of course. That'll do it for this episode. Until the next one, stay safe, stay great.
Thanks,
I'll talk to you
thanks,
then.
Adam. Yeah, thank you.
All right, see ya.